It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 67 of the Redirect Podcast. It's Friday, February 22nd, 2019. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. I'm joined this week by the newest member of the Black Truck team, Lauren Milligan. Welcome, Lauren.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate the introduction.
Yeah. So I thought we would, it's been a few weeks since we released a podcast as we kind of retool some things, maybe the way that we're going about it. I think we're going to step back from just producing a podcast every single week, because if you have produced podcasts or content of any kind, you know that it's a challenge to keep up with that, the cadence of it. So we're probably going to flip to every other week, but that's okay too. I think it'll allow us to focus on creating some more really quality content. But I really wanted to take this time and kind of maybe talk a little bit more about not just your background, Lauren, but kind of what you've seen change the most, 2018 as we head into 2019, what are the biggest things? But I guess real big thing. So you bring 6 years of digital strategy to the Black Truck team, which is awesome. But kind of give me, I guess, 30,000 foot view, bio of Lauren for everybody that listens, because your voice will be heard on the podcast moving forward, obviously. So
yeah, absolutely. So as you pointed out, 6 years of experience. I kind of started out, really just taking on projects as they came through various internships and that sort of thing. So for those of you listening that are familiar with the downtown market of Grand Rapids, I sat on the board there as an intern, and then they had various responsibilities, social media management, some digital management, that sort of thing. And I saw that as an opportunity to really kind of get myself integrated, and be a part of the team, and then they allowed me to take on some of those responsibilities. So it started from that point that I got introduced to AdWords, analytics, how to run a good digital campaign, essentially.
Yeah.
At the time, they were monitoring, they were running a fundraising campaign, so they needed to do an online platform that allowed them to accept donations for custom plaques, essentially, for the market. So some really cool, unique problems that I got my hands in on, and from there, really enjoyed digital campaigns and kind of what they could deliver and the different components of that. So that has since evolved into doing some more projects for people. Eventually I went to work for an agency where...
Agency side is different than in-house.
Yeah, definitely. It's very different from freelancing. So at the agency I was started out working predominantly on AdWords, paid search campaigns. That eventually evolved into some other things that were SEO related, a lot of consulting that was related to organic social, paid social, so pretty diverse in that area. We worked with a lot of different clients that weren't only, so some of them were demand-based, as tree removal.
Yeah,
pretty simple,
right? But high lead generation, very reactive versus proactive type industries.
Exactly. So the clients that I worked with at this agency were kind of all over the board, really, which is really fun for me to experiment and learn different things in certain areas. So as I mentioned, the tree removal service, pretty straightforward. There's a tree in your house, you get out your phone, and you call the person that comes up the first, right, or the first response. There are other opportunities that I had, such as launching some social media social media platforms, which then we ran campaigns to generate beta users.
Oh, nice.
For the platform.
To get some user testing.
Exactly, and proof of concept.
Okay.
Right? Just to say, like, we have this idea for a social media platform, how can we see if there's any market adoption?
So the idea there, kind of segueing, but I think this is a good conversation to kind of share a little bit more about your background, but just certainly how maybe you think and process, but you're thinking more along the lines of utilizing maybe existing digital platforms as a research tool, as a means of researching, versus, say, what would have been traditionally done in, traditional market research, using things such as AdWords or user testing and stuff like that to see how individuals are going to react to an application, software, what they're most interested in or less interested in.
No, you're absolutely right. So when I was directing the research department of the agency, one of the things that I would always talk about when doing surveys or things of that nature is try not to ask hypothetical questions because people don't know why they make most of the choices they do.
True.
We make choices based on emotional factors, and then we rationalize the decision after the fact. So to your point, I've used Facebook ads to prove or disprove changes in branding. What I'm looking for is not so much would you buy from this company if they were to make this change. Let's measure actionable things that take place in the marketplace, essentially. So run some ads, do some A/B testing. That's better than any kind of focus group you can get, in my opinion, because it's legitimately happening.
Yeah. Those people aren't paid to be there necessarily, right? We're all there at our own free will. It just happens that people are marketing to us.
Yeah, it's a double blind.
Yeah. No, that's really great. That's awesome. What would you say, I guess, in definitely sharing about maybe a little bit more on the empathetic side of customers and whatnot, and some of that comes from probably just customer service experience, right? Everybody talks about everybody should have a sales job. I kind of tend to be the other side of it and say I don't think everybody should have a sales job. I think everybody should have a customer service job.
Sure.
And I know you certainly have those skills and stuff, especially through your college years and stuff. But what do you think customer service provides you with? Like those types of jobs, those types of skills provide you with as a marketer that other types of jobs don't.
In order to provide good customer service, you have to have a deep understanding of what the customer wants in order to align and meet their expectations. So that means you need to be a good listener. You need to understand their pain points or where they're coming from. You need to understand what their goal is or where they're trying to get. So as an example, I worked at a wine shop for years. Wine is something that a lot of people know they're supposed to buy, or it's a very social
Right.
thing, right? You don't want to look dumb, when you're asking for recommendations
It's this
or even picking it out.
complex yet basic thing.
Yeah, and everybody knows that there's a huge heritage of knowledge. There's just a lot of deep understanding around it. No one wants to invest the time to understand it because why? I mean, really, it's a consumer product, right?
Yeah.
So, getting back to customer service, you have to understand. I developed a way to kind of identify what they were looking for when they were trying to find a wine. Were they looking to impress someone with their knowledge? And if that's the case, then you give them a little bit of a story about the bottle of wine. Right, so then they can carry that story on and look really good in front of their friends.
Yeah.
Maybe they were looking to, find a great value. And not everyone wants to tell you, like, I'm just looking for the most expensive bottle for the least price.
Yeah.
So you have to be sensitive to that fact. But if you can identify what their end goal is, then you're able to deliver a much better product. And, as you can probably tell, we're overlapping on a lot of terms of marketing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it transcends over into marketing a ton, right? You're trying to understand what it is the person is looking for. That, in most cases it's, well, I need a bottle of wine. In some cases they might know they want a red, or they want a cab or a blend or a white. But they don't really know exactly why they're buying what they're buying. I would say that my wine palate is decent at best. There are certain blends and brands that I like, but trying to get to the root cause of why, and that's something we talk about just a ton here, especially in search marketing, is that for the most part, defining what a person is looking for should be fairly straightforward for people, but really understanding why and being able to connect the dots from A to B is extremely important. And I think, to your point, the customer service side allows you to have the more empathetic approach and really understand, okay, is this person buying a new car because theirs broke down and they have to get a new one? Are they buying it because they have better financial means now? Maybe it's a new job or a growing family or whatever it is. There's different phases in that person's life or journey that lead them down the path. And it's no different buying a bottle of wine to buying a car, buying a home. It's a journey or a path to purchase, and you're helping them along with that. Okay, cool. So what would you say, I guess, in terms of what you experienced maybe just in the past year? Like I think search changes so much, so we take in bite-sized chunks and snippets. So in 2018, things that were, maybe executed really well, saw success that you think may or may not have merit kind of now or moving forward? Like, what do you think that, is there a big, anything that is on your mind or you've read that you're just kind of like, I think this could be a good thing moving forward? Trust me, we're okay making predictions here that don't stick. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Feel free to, I guess,
throw you under the bus on this one? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of things that I have noticed that I guess I'm paying close attention to is the grab at real estate, in the SERP results for things like, Home Advisors doing this with buying up, so service-based companies, contractors. So in other words, these listing sites like Home Advisor, Clutch.co is another one.
Yep.
They rank for keywords like best
House,
ad agencies.
House,
Yeah, House is a great example. Okay, so these are digital platforms or websites that are doing a really good job at ranking for these broad keywords or just covering a lot of real estate basically. So is it that do you want to compete with House, or do you want to compete within House? Unfortunately, with other people, and I think that might be a layer of search that we need to look into down the road.
So you're saying like the third party aggregator sites as a means of helping deliver traffic within, in this case, a specific industry vertical niche.
Exactly.
Right? Home improvement. I would say that's an interesting idea. We've recently, ironically enough, is totally nothing I feel that we do on the Redirect podcast is really planned. So we were looking at some analytics recently for one of our clients in a project we were involved in that was more, it would probably fall under the home improvement or at least home goods type things. A fairly predominant presence on House, meaning majority of their images, majority of their galleries and everything. What's crazy about it is they were sending more traffic to House from their site than House was driving back to their site. And we're talking about a brand that has a pretty predominant kind of presence or role in their category. Very little traffic being driven from that platform. So to kind of argue your point is, yeah, I think there's opportunity there from a brand recognition perspective, but are people really taking action while on that platform? I don't know.
Yeah, not only are they taking action, but you're literally driving into a place where all your competitors are. The platform makes it very easy to bounce from your page to another.
Yep.
They're quite literally advertising other companies right next to yours. So that kind of goes back to, do I sell on Amazon or do I do my own e-commerce site?
Yeah.
There are pros and cons to both.
Join them, beat them. Yeah. How do you feel about so in the same tone? We've discussed it before in the Redirect about. We were talking about more local search, and we could argue whether or not all searches are local to some degree. But when you throw a geo modifier on a search, so let's say best Mexican restaurants, Grand Rapids, where we're based here in Michigan, or best Mexican restaurants, Seattle. What you tend to see is the aggregator sites, and so you see the Yelps of the world, the Open Tables, TripAdvisors, etc. Top 10s, 2019's best
Those are really popular,
versus the actual individual business. Whereas when you say, best Mexican restaurant near me, by me, you start to see a different result. You see less of the aggregator sites and more of the individual local shops, mom and pops, and that type of thing. Do you think the same would play within that category you were talking about?
I think what's going to happen, and it already is, you've got two different things going on. You have the the companies that are optimizing on search, and they're going based off the reactions from people that are doing the searches to try and get in front of those people. But then we're also continuously learning how online search works. So we are evolving our search terms to get what we want, and that's why we're doing things like near me to even get more refined and to try and eliminate some of those top 10, because that's not what we're looking for. We quite literally just want the business. And so, it's kind of like just in exchange of language, if I am continually asking for something and you're not responding, we have a miscommunication. I'm going to try something else.
Yeah, and obviously, if I was a restaurant or any kind of service-based business that I'm wondering why I'm not included in that top list, I would certainly look at that as an opportunity from what we would call an off-page or off-site opportunity to go after. But almost what you're saying is don't lose sight of what's happening on your own site either, because if you're focusing so much time and attention on, say, growing your presence on House or Angie's List or name your flavor, and you lose sight of what you're doing on your own site, there's an opportunity to kind of fall off the map there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are you're giving House and these aggregators a lot of weight, I guess, or responsibility to understand. So you're basically tasking them with understanding what online searchers are looking for.
Yeah,
they might be optimizing towards the totally wrong keywords.
Right.
I mean, you might be a new home builder, and really House is more so going towards renovators, contractors, these things. That's not a good audience for you. So you still have to take responsibility, and I think that's where it's not just relying on these aggregators. You have to do your own due diligence, do the keyword research, understand what your audience is looking for.
Yeah, no, totally get it. I think that's really good, and I think to kind of sum that up and wrap it up there, really, is you're saying that it is and search is constantly evolving, and it's much more than just keywords and links. It is the human factor that we talk about here, and kind of talk about frequently on this podcast. But it's very much we have to be more like psychologists of the web, if you will, and really understand how human behavior is, and that it's an omni-channel world. So I have multiple touch points, multiple opportunities to reach someone before they make a decision. That maybe focus on your own brand and site first, but then maybe a next step is what are these other verticals that you can go out and own, and kind of run with it from there. So
Absolutely.
Sweet, awesome. Well, I think we're gonna try and keep this one kind of short this time, but I appreciate you sharing some not only background on yourself, but definitely really good insights. So we're excited to have Lauren on board with our team. And also, again, another voice to jump in and out of the Redirect podcast here moving forward and sharing some insights. So until next time, good luck.
Awesome. Thank you.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.